problem. It's not my problem. When I feel every metal, and I'm pissed and I'm when I lie and I'm missing all of the time, but I'm never sure what I'm missing. Please let me shout.
Welcome to the Prospect Podcast on a Thursday. I'm Coach Human. I'm here with Coach D as always, and we have our special guest below down here, Coach RJ Cobbs. We're excited to talk to him about some running back play, a little bit of high school football, a little bit what he's doing with his FBU team that he works with. So I'm going to dive into a bunch of different things with him. He also works with running backs as well, from a training standpoint. So we're going to
do it all. Running backs, D-backs, receivers, quarterbacks, whatever you need.
We're going to dive into it with him and cover all the bases. So it'll very soon for the people that are follow us. I almost have our website done, which will have every guest. I guess I'll have to upload the last few, or actually I could probably just get it from there. But we'll have every guest that we have on the website, bios of them, everything, what they're doing, and all that kind of stuff. So it's become a monster, and just the guests that me and Derek have done together is over 140, right, Derek? What is it now? What are we at? 140? You're on mute.
Coach is.
Yeah. What is it?
StreamYard's doing its thing this morning. Coach Cobbs is number 288.
288. Okay, so what's so cool about it is that I have 140 something of them loaded in. So I'm trying to get it all loaded in. So soon we'll have all the guests up there, and you'll be able to filter, look up a guest, be able to hopefully find the video and then go from there. So it'll be really cool because it just becomes so many people, and it'll make Coach D's job easier when he goes in. Not that he isn't. He's booked up. We're booked up pretty deep, but that way they could just go to the website and check out all the guests and see what all these guys are doing, which is great. So, Coach, it's great to have you on the podcast. We're excited to talk to you, talk some football with you. If you could kind of just go into your whole playing, coaching background, really kind of bring us all the way up to today's date.
RJ Cobbs, man. I mean, I'm a Morris County, New Jersey bred, football, phenomenon, man. I grew up on just the game. I had guys that I idolized, a cousin that was in the 80s that was ripping faces off. And, you look up Morris County football, from the 80s, 90s. It was a place that, you couldn't walk through, it wasn't an easy walkthrough, so I grew up in that type of environment. I grew up Morristown, New Jersey, grew up playing little league football, Morristown Colonials, all my teams that are around, 3-peat, 4-peat, ripping faces off. I had a great experience. But I grew up on the borderline of, Parsippany and Morristown. So I had an opportunity to go to the school district in Parsippany, and that's where I started to shift my football career from, as a young athlete to, let's say, going into the high school, going to the high school world, learning how to become more of a professional, obviously chasing my dreams, trying to get into college, because that was always, the goal from, since I was a baby, idolizing, Walter Payton, Sweetness. You got LT. I used to ride my bike over to FDU when I was a kid, to go watch, the Giants practice. So you can't say like I don't love football. I haven't loved football. I am football. Like football is me. And I'm grateful to have played this game because it's a blessing. Like it's honestly a blessing to play this game. I was blessed with the ability and with the talent, and obviously the IQ and the brains to take it to the next level. So yeah, like I said, I started there. I left, went to Parsippany Hills High School. Started as a freshman, varsity, and just worked my way up to the top. It was kind of cool because I had the number one player right beside me, my best friend. His name is Johnny Moran. He was the number one wide receiver coming out in 2000. So me and that cat worked out ever since middle school. It was crazy because he came from Newark, I came from Morristown. And at the time, Parsippany Hills, it wasn't it wasn't known for a football place. It was more of a basketball school. So, me and Johnny came in there, and we had a goal to just to turn the school around. And obviously, we had another cat named Brian Roman. He was also a stud too, running back. But we had a outstanding coach. Name was Phil Longo. He's now the Sam Houston University's head coach. Football head coach. So I had the chance to, be coached by him at a very young age. He was obviously a young, aspiring coach that was moving up, and he had a great offense. And, I went in there and I wrecked shop. I kind of just put myself on the map. A lot of people come in and they'd be like, coming to check out Johnny, and they'd be like, who is this number 3? Who's RJ Cobbs? So, and also I was an all-state basketball player as well. My brother was an all-state basketball player, Eric Cotton. He was a big stud too. And so I just grew up around greatness, just wanted to be great. And, I just kind of propelled and worked on my game. And then, we put Parsippany Hills on the map as far as football. If you go back and you look at it from, 98 to 2001, I mean, I was probably the state's best, touchdowns, interceptions. If you look at it, I think it was like number 2 coming out in the state of New Jersey. Like I said, I kind of, waited around for my SATs. It's not like it is right now where you can go to prep and do all this and all that in the third and reclass. Right. So I had to jump on the opportunity that was presented, and which was cool because I was around another substantial coach. His name was Mark Whipple. I mean, I was around greatness, like he just won a national championship at 1AA with UMass. So I had an opportunity to be around that and be coached around that. So, like I said, I worked my tail off. I worked, got myself to where I was, pretty high rank coming out of New Jersey. And then, I just took my talents to UMass because, I'm like, what, Coach Whipple, he promised me that, he was going to get me to go to the league. So I was like, how could I not roll with this guy? And then I took my talents up to UMass, and obviously learned how it goes in the college world, and I redshirted my freshman year, and just learned. I was a student of the game, just learning from the upperclassmen, just how they walked, how they talked, how they did interviews, how they moved on campus. So I kind of just studied that for that year, and then I kind of was like, I brought my Jersey flavor. I was like, I'm gonna bring my Jersey flavor up to this Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts world, New England world. And went up there, and they put me at running back. I was supposed to be DB, but I got moved to running back right before camp. And I'm like, all right, let's go, And then I went out there and I killed it. Became Rookie of the Year of the Nation. I think I was like, I was ECAC Rookie of the Year. 2002 running back at UMass, and obviously I was all conference, and I just crushed it. You know what I mean? I just crushed it there, and then Mark Whipple left. He left and went to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So then we had Don Brown. Obviously everybody knows about Don Brown. I mean, he comes into UMass because he won a national championship with Coach Whip. So he comes back to UMass. UMass buys him out, get him a nice little contract. And he moves. He's like, yo, I hear you play defense. And I'm like, yo, whatever. I do whatever, because, I just believed in my talent. I worked hard. I trained like no other. You put me in a box. Like I said, I worked out with the best in New Jersey during this time, from like Ricky Cook to everybody, and I knew I was on. I trained with Johnny every day. So I was very confident, So when I got changed and I got shifted, to DB, when Don was like, "Yo, you want to play DB?" I'm like, "Let's go." So I went to DB and I killed it. I had like 4 interceptions that year, over 50 tackles. I think I was like, second team all conference. Kind of got snubbed, but it is what it is. It's politics. But I learned a lesson. I had a great deal from going from playing rookie of the year running back and then going to play DB. And then I played, my last 2 years, I played both sides of the ball, play offense and defense, and just working on my resume. I was just trying to, show like the nation that I was an athletic player and I could play at the next level. Obviously, I was very fast. I was running in the 4.3s. So, I just kind of just elevated to that, and then worked my tail off to my senior year. Got an opportunity to go to NFL. Got picked up by the Minnesota Vikings. They didn't have a draft pick, but it was like 5th, 6th round. They called me like, "Yo, we want to pick you up," and got a nice little signing bonus and started off my career there. And I went off to Minnesota. Kind of just was starstruck though, like it was like 18, 16 DBs there. I'm trying to learn, trying to fit in. Kind of starstruck, like I said, I was a local kid, like living this dream and finally made it. So I didn't really like kind of gravitate to, to the league, being a professional quite fast. But once I got released from there, and then I got picked up by the Giants, and then that's when I was like, I was locked in. Made the 53-man roster. Everybody looking at me every day like, who the hell is this guy? Like just from picking Eli off, or what I'm saying, like just filling the hole, filling the tackle, or going to play Reggie Bush for a scout team or whatever. I was just making a name for myself, and then I got activated, and then I played like the last 2 games or just special teams and stuff, and just earned my keep and just learned how to be a professional. And then the next year I broke my leg, and then obviously how it goes after that. The injuries happen, and then I tried to like work myself back in, and I did a lot, and then I just was training, and I was like, what? I fell in love with the training aspect, so I started learning, got certified to do sports specific training, and I was working out at Parisi Speed School over in Fairlawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they do a lot of the combine training and stuff. So I worked under like Rich Shadiv, Bill Parisi. I worked under the masterminds for quite a bit. So it was an easy transition for me to go from from the league to being a trainer. And then so I just transitioned. I kind of hung the cleats up and was like, let's go. And then I trained over at Priest for like 4 years, and then I was like, you know what, wanted to bet on myself, so I started up my own company, and I partnered up with another guy named out in Madison, and we started up a company called Inception, and then I ended up buying it out later after COVID, but now I own it, so Inception is mine, FBU is mine, and started training after COVID hit, took a big hit, dividend that, and that's when I wanted to get into coaching, and then that's what propelled me to get into getting over at Delbarton. I met with Bowers. He came over to my gym. He had his daughter. His daughter was doing lacrosse training or whatever. And so I just stopped by and said, hey, man, I'm looking to coach, and he was like, all right, come by the office. And we sat down, we chopped it up, and had a great interview. And then next thing you know, I'm here. So got the job at Delbarton. I think that was the year of COVID. And then, I'm still here now.
Wow, that's quite a journey.
So that's like a little, it's like short of it. I cut it up. I didn't really get into, all of it, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, you had you're a fantastic athlete. You had a fantastic career, and obviously now you've been coaching with Delbarton, doing the training. Were you at UMass when like EJ Barthel and Brandon?
That was so EJ came in when I left to go to the league.
Okay. Oh, the next year those guys came.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always stayed.
So did you spend was Vic there when you were there? Was Victor Cruz there when you were there?
Yeah, I recruited Vic. And I recruited, I was like the recruiter coordinator for those guys to get me. I was like a big sign. And obviously,
you're like, buddy, come on up here, right? Like, come up here. Well, UMass, that was an interesting time, right? Because they were that 1AA, but they were coming off like a national championship. So they were really prominent. You know,
Right.
and I remember because Vic and I graduated the same year, played in a North-South game together, and he was going to prep school, you know, but it was always that communication of like, hey, and we just knew he was something different too. But, you know, going up there, like, you know, I don't think a lot of people understand, and it's a tough sell, right? Because, you know, you got your Syracuse's around there, Rutgers, you know what I mean? Like even UConn's on the rise now, and Dave will tell you about that because, you know, he's a UConn alum, but it's you know, UMass is always a really tough sell for a lot of guys. But for a while, when some of the names like yourself and some of those other guys started to make that move, like they were pulling a lot of Jersey guys.
When they were FCS, it was really tough when they transitioned to Division One. But when they were FCS, they were a powerhouse. That was one of the places that I went and visited. That was one of the places I almost went. Back then, the coach was Jim Reed. When Jim Reed was a head coach when I was getting recruited, but I ended up choosing UConn. But UMass was one of my visits. But yeah, it was a power. It was a power. I mean, I remember Jim Reed's selling point when I was getting recruited. He's like, "You come here, you'll win a championship," because they always win a championship at FCS. They would, and they don't, you know, whether it was league. I mean, they won the national championship when they had Ship was
Ship Marcel, Marcel Ship, another Jersey native without a doubt.
Played the league for a while.
Without a doubt, Arizona Cardinals.
D1 was what ended up being hard because now they're in the Mid-American. That's always like
it was just a tough transition, I think, from, you know, just from the coach and the culture. I think they did, like, you know, they brought in a guy that kind of just got away from it, and I think it was kind of like a good void from a minute from like a lot of people from the alumni that was around. I think that was like 2010 to maybe, no, it could have been a little bit later, maybe 2012, before Whip came back his second stint.
Yep, I know who you're talking about.
And it was just it was a bad vibe.
He was like almost like a hipster,
right?
I remember we brought our team up there for 7-on-7. I think I was at Powell Park. Yeah, that was that time period, Powell Park, and like he biked over. He biked over to the. Literally, he was on his. I'm not kidding. He mountain biked over to the 7-on-7
which is
field.
so not what like UMass like that New England Boston like that's not really the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
It was
like
it just changed, and then
Molnar, not Molnar.
Right, it was some Molnar.
Charlie Molnar. Charlie Molnar.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that who it was?
Right. Exactly who it was. And it just was, the vibe was just bad, I think, from that standpoint. And then they tried to bring the beat back with Whip, and then Whip came back. But then I think Whip did another stint in the NFL. Right. And then Don came back. And then, you know, like
Don.
They tried to, you know, get the beat back and going, but it was just, I think it was you know, the scheduling. And then I think when Don and them wasn't there, they weren't in the conference. So they didn't have nothing to fight for, and then they got back into the MAC. So it was just a roller coaster of you know, like not knowing, not having a direction. Like when we played and when they were in the Atlantic 10, and the Atlantic 10 was like the powerhouse of FCS. You know, you had Delaware, Joe Flacco. You know, you had you had a bunch of guys, man, that came out of there. What's the name? Cooper from Maine. He was a linebacker. He ended up playing with the Chargers for like quite a bit. Stephen Cooper. There was a bunch of guys, you know what I mean? And then it just started to go. Like you started to see UMass bringing in Victor Cruz, Brandon London. They had Steve Baylor. We had Liam Cohen. You know, like we had
Liam Cohen.
Right. We had guys. You know, like and the
which
culture,
is wild.
The culture was all about, like, you know, just championship and just like, you know, everybody just, you know, calling one another out, you know. And another thing, we had a good little plug from like guys from St. Thomas Aquarius, you know, like we had a bunch of guys that came up from Florida that came up at Rep Shop, you know, and did some amazing things too. We had a good pipeline from Florida. So I just feel like, you know, I think, you know, the coach there now, you know, he's going to recruit well. He's a New England guy. Obviously, he coached at Rutgers, so he knows the area here. So I think he's going to do a good job trying to bring the
Who's the
beat
new
back.
coach there?
It's Simiak.
What's his name? Yeah, Simiak. Yeah,
Oh.
from Rutgers, the
Okay.
defensive coordinator. So I think he's gonna do a good job, man. Like this year was kind of like
I played against them in college.
First year. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
He went to Springfield. He was a back at Springfield. Yeah. So and I went to Montclair. So we played each other for 2 years. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, to watch those guys rise like that and do those types of things, like you got to be a different type of cat, especially knowing that gig. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of how you're going to factor into it and whatnot. Right. And again, like you talked about it before we even got out. Like the college football has changed, dude. Like the game has changed, and it's a lot more of just a lot of different things that go into it, right? And you see the rise of some of the schools around there, right? Like you got Fran Brown at Syracuse, you got new guy at UConn, right? Greg is still at is at Rutgers, right? And it's like where do you pull from? Like New England football, or you know what I mean? Like where are you going to make your mark, right? We've seen the rise of some of like those quote 1AA programs like Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. Like what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Where guys going to go? How they going to play? UMass is kind of like just they're there. So we'll see. Football is, like you said, it's a different game.
I mean, because it's a dope school. I mean, like honestly, it's a great school academically. Obviously, it has historical history. Like from Dr. J. Obviously Bill Cott. Like it has so much rich history up there. Like it's a great school. Like I'm forever. UMass is always going to be dearly in my heart. You know what I mean? Like
definitely,
it was a great place for me.
No doubt about it. That Atlantic 10 conference was a power. It's funny. I'm almost all of them. They all went Division One.
That's what I'm saying. Like, right.
Other than New Hampshire, Maine, I think is left.
But if you look at them, Dave, they're like what those programs are aspiring to be. Yeah.
But you couldn't even really sleep on like UNH. Like UNH had Chip Kelly.
Oh, UNH is great. They just don't have the money to go Division One yet. They don't have the money to go D1.
Right. They were exactly right. They weren't on the UMass level because UMass basketball, at the time, Marcus Camby, they were bringing in the money.
Shit, dude. So, John Calipari,
right. If you go back and you look at it, like how everything just resonated from that era to what we had, from the early 2000s, and then obviously, when they shifted over to FBS, I just felt like they didn't have the right guy. I felt like they hired a guy from outside the culture, like they didn't really know what UMass was all about, and then it just got distanced, for quite a bit. And then they tried to bring the beat back, but like you said, like when you're going to go play these schools and you get smacked around, it's kind of hard, to recruit and go get these guys. And
why would you want to go there? Like,
right, it's tough. Like they really honestly have to go and like what I think is just go and really find the guys and develop them and then build the culture back up, and then that's just how you win.
No doubt about it. I agree with that.
Like the portal game is crazy because you never know. Like I just feel like you just rip it all off. You go to high school. You grab a certain selective of high school recruits, and then you build from there. And then you add on a portal guy, but for the main thing, my thing is like you need to build around like the younger guys and the youth and build them up, especially if you want your program to go to where you want it to go.
Yeah, well, it's a tricky deal from in college recruiting because it really the high school side is getting pushed aside because it's easier to go get older, more experienced players, and if these guys are relying on
turnarounds,
if they're going to get fired if they don't win, that's the bigger part of the problem. So it's like if they don't have security, then it's gonna create a situation where they're just completely now only what they could do as much as here and now. There was a few exceptions, but for the most part, that's what's going on, at least at the highest level. and
Right.
probably a lot of FCS. Like I feel like even like
Definitely.
I mean, it's starting to get there without a doubt.
the
And the
teams that are in
FCS
the
It's
level.
all going to
championship,
trickle down.
yeah.
Yeah.
The teams that are championship, other than even the Dakota schools, they have a decent amount of transfers now, which they
Yeah.
really never did before. But
No,
they
they
have a
just
lot.
kind of stayed in their lane geographically as to like,
But
we'll
that's what
take guys from here. Now
right.
it's,
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the
Right.
one
But
thing too, Dave, right? That's changed so much is recruiting now is on such a national level. It's not geographical anymore where, hey,
right.
I mean, look, you're like the fact that the Big Ten conference has Oregon and USC in it in itself is right. Like it's a national base now where you don't just recruit the Northeast. You don't just recruit Texas. Like you don't just recruit Florida. Like it's guys expand all over the place because there's national teams across the board when it comes to the big conferences. It's just, and then with NIL and transfer portal, like very few guys are staying where they start,
Right.
irregardless of what the situation is. It's just really kind of the nature of the beast right now. I mean, look, we've discussed it, over and over again about, how NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff has been affecting high school athletes, on that level now, where if you're not the 5-star slam dunk guy, like you better aim for FCS to start, and then you can go up if you do that well. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing has flipped itself on its head in terms of the approach to it. And parents don't want to hear it, but it's the reality of kind of what it is. I mean, look, you deal with high school athletes and parents on the regular. I mean, look, even your FBU stuff, like I'm sure those parents are, hey, when's my scholarships come? Or, it's just, that world in itself is wild. It's really where the game has come,
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the game has definitely shifted and changed, but at the end of the day,
ball is ball.
I tell her that right. That's why I said the ball is the ball. Whatever regardless if you're an elite athlete and you're on that level, like, and you're playing at that high level, like, you still gonna have to play ball. I don't care how you look at it.
No doubt about it. It's absolutely. Talk about when you got into what made you get into coaching. What was kind of the genesis of that for you? What kind of started that part of it for you in your career?
Well, I mean, obviously, I always had love and passion for the game, and then, obviously, when I got hurt, I kind of was in a depressing state for a bit, and then, I just kind of needed to, take a break from it. And so I got away from it, and I kind of still stayed involved and stayed around it because I still was training people. So I still was, still involved in coaching, but I just wasn't in as far as like in the rooms just doing the X's and O's and do all the analytics and things like that. But so I think, just right after, I think COVID hit, the gyms had closed down. I'm trying to figure out where to go. And then I just kind of had a window to kind of just sit down and figure out what the next move was going to be. And then it just opened up. The door just kind of opened up. Like I said, I always had the passion for the game, and I always wanted to coach. I just didn't want to jump into it right away, which I kind of like kick myself in the butt right now because I wish I did, but because I had opportunities to like do my grad assistant and things like that early. But I kind of just I was just going through my own thing and then trying to figure out. And then once I just saw the light, I just said, all right, this is it, and I just jumped on it. And now I'm not looking back. Like obviously I'm trying to elevate to becoming my own, head or, coordinator, within the future, like I said, I learned a great deal, being over at Delbarton for the past, 6-7 years. And, obviously my name is ringing bells. Obviously I'm in the communities. I'm doing, pretty well. Obviously you see what I'm doing, bringing in guys as far as from the recruiting standpoint, bringing in people, guys to Delbarton that probably didn't even think of Delbarton, didn't even know about Delbarton. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, just
and that in itself is a really tough sell, because the school itself, yes, it speaks for itself, but when it comes to actual, the football aspect of it, right? Like they're kind of looked at, I don't want to say second tier because it's no, by no means are they, but in the, when you talk about, the big North and the bigs within the within the private school world. Delbarton has always been looked at kind of lesser of those because of the academic standards, because of, whatever it was when it came to, they can't play with the Bergens or the Boscos or the Joes of the world because, they're not recruiting the same type of guy. They're recruiting more of an academic kid and all of that kind of stuff. How do you guys deter that, RJ, when it comes to that aspect of it? Like, because look, Coach Bowers has been there forever. Obviously, being a Morris County guy, like I've always had the utmost respect for the way he handles his program on and off. The school itself speaks for itself academically. I mean, probably one of the best campuses in the state. Like you go on that thing, you're just like unbelievable. Look, obviously they've invested in it, right? Like a couple of years ago, they invest in, a $23 million athletic facility, in an end zone, like it's just a great day. I can brag about Delbarton all the time because I love this. I think it's just an amazing place for young men. But how do you battle when a guy comes in and says, well, Joe's wants me to come and Bosco wants me to come. And, Bergen said I could go here. Like, how do you fight that? Right. When it comes to say, well, you should probably be at like Delbarton's the spot for you.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously you just look at the character of the kid, does he check the box? Like, is he thriving academically to reach, to reach a level where he's trying to get to, as far as from an academic standpoint. And obviously, athletically, they check the box. Are they fast? Can they change direction? Can they jump? Can they catch? Are they a playmaker? Can they tackle? How good are their hips? Things like that. Can they get off the ball? Are they good at blocking? If they check those boxes, from there, obviously, the academic part of it is very big because, like I said, academically, Delbarton, it is what it is. The standard is the standard. It's not going to change, So, for me,
that's not changing. That's not going to change.
No, it's not going to change. But for me, it's just finding those kids because those kids are out there, and those kids were scared because they didn't know about Delbarton because of the tuition and things, obviously, the culture and where what Delbarton has always been. But like I said, Delbarton is thriving for change. I know they are. I've been working there for quite a bit. And being around those guys, I think they've been honest as far as just bringing in the right players, the right people that can do the work, that they don't have to worry about. So for me, it's just looking for that right kid that has a good background of family and good structure. And obviously, checks the boxes from, the athletic standpoint is that's a no-brainer. But for me, it's just, seeing if that kid is a good kid, is he willing to do the work? Is he thriving to really, achieve his goals academically, what he wants to be. I mean, obviously the fine arts too. We have a great theater program. We have, one of the best. I mean, there's so many things that Delbarton offers, as far as from that, activities, their after school activities from their clubs, their internships. It just gets those kids prepared and ready for the next stage of life. So, those are kids I look for, and obviously, it's just me putting my hands around them and just, and coaching them up and coaching them hard and pushing them to reach their goals on the football field. And like I said, some of these kids come in, they want to be the best. They're like, oh, I want to go D1. All right, cool. Here we go. Here goes this beautiful facility that's open 24/7 with 10 to 15 coaches that are there to help you train. And then you have your study hall, you have your teachers there willing to help you reach these problems that you're having trouble solving. Just everything, man. Just like once you're there, man, that place is just, they're just pumping excellence, man. Just pumping it. So I just look for a kid that want to be excellent.
Talk about like in the training that you go and you develop in with the athletes at your facility. What are some of the things that you're working on? What are some of the things that you're trying to develop from an athlete standpoint?
Well, first and foremost is confidence. I want these kids to believe like they can do whatever they want if they really work hard for it. And so my thing is just pumping that confidence. And then obviously just from my background as far as from training with the Parisis, the Chuck Mounds, just learning so much as far as like, you laugh because you probably heard it. Yeah, I worked with Chuck Brown for a stint.
Well, no, I'm
But-
laughing. RJ, I'm just laughing, and Dave is probably laughing too, because we literally have been having this conversation recently of like talking about all of like, because the mainstay is, look, everybody's posting everything about how there's such a great trainer and all these, there's
Right.
these, social media trainers out there, and
Right.
we've really tried to stress like to our audience and to the parents, like, you have to do your homework and not just be so caught up in the glitz and the glam of whatever they posted,
Right.
really do your homework and research it. So we've been talking about some of the OGs of the training world, right? Like when Coach Shu had his facility and Chuck
Mhm.
Mound was doing his thing, and then Bill kind of took the market and
Right.
it just went where he went with it. But
Right.
those were the names you talked about, whether it was a Joe DeFranco or whatever.
Yep.
And there wasn't
Exactly.
many of them. And you had to, like, they were certified, like you knew you were getting really good training. And now it's
Right.
really hard to kind of decipher that, because you throw a rock and there's 10
Everyone's a
speed
trainer.
guys, there's a million strength guys, there's this guy is
Right.
the receiver guy. And we've had so many on, obviously they're vetted when it comes to us, because we make sure we do the research, but it's to just see that world and that market. It's changed so much. Dave's the first one to attest to it, right? Because he's firsthand been in it, having a facility and seeing all the nuts, like everything that goes into that market itself, and how it's evolved from the time when you were playing, when I was playing, to what it is now. It's unbelievable. So the fact that you're even in it, right? Like the development aspect of it, besides the confidence, like, what else goes into when they're getting developed by you guys?
Well, just depending what the position is, I'm just breaking down, do they need to work on explosiveness, speed, agility, obviously there's a core strengthening, balancing, I kind of just put them through an assessment test. I just kind of break them down, just kind of see, what their body is, what their body's looking like when they're moving. And then I kind of just format like, a program to focus on, turning their, weaknesses into some strengths. And, that's just how just evaluate them first, come up with a program, and then execute the program.
No doubt about it. When you opened your facility for first time, what were, first of all, what was that like?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So talk about that.
Great experience. Greatest experience of my life. I mean, I felt like I was on top of the world. I mean, like I said, I've been through so much, because it was, like I said, being in the league and then getting hurt, and then, working for these companies, and then seeing these guys, blow up and doing it. And like I said, being like you said, like being around the Chuck Mounds, being around the Bill Parisis, being around, the Stephen Bianco, like being around that culture.
Bianco.
Yeah, like I've been
Like,
around, I've been around the game, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I'm a really a student of the game. So when I really it was like, I'm a bet on myself. And it really, like, it hit me when it was Johnny Morant's dad. So Johnny Morant's dad was a big time bodybuilder back in like the 80s and early 90s. You know what I mean? So he had always had a gym.
Muscle era.
He had this gym. Oh my God, I could tell you stories about that. But he had this gym for like over like 30 years, and it was over in the complex in Parsippany. So like when COVID hit, he allowed me to bring my clients in and do my thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to open let me partner up with you. He's like, man, what's up with you and these partners? Like, he's like, I've seen your clients. I see the work that you do. You could easily do this on your own. So I was like, all right, you know what? I looked into the spot, got the lease, and then I'm like, I was up and running. And then honestly, it was the best feeling, because like at a point I didn't think I could do it all on my own. I thought I needed the help, and but honestly, I just built it up brick by brick, and then it just was booming, and I was at a point now where I was just in Morris County. I was one of the top trainers, and everyone had to pretty much go through me and get trained in a sense. I had the Delbarton network. I had obviously the Madison and Chatham, and I was in Parsippany, so I had a great network, and I was with the Parsippany Hills, so the people knew about me in that area. But then obviously the year after, the place catches fire and my place burned down.
I read about that. Yeah. So
brutal, bro. Brutal.
Yeah. So my place burned down, and then it just was a devastating thing. Like, it was like, I went down to Miami to go see, Johnny Morant's son, Jordan Morant, which was playing in the Michigan game.
Yep.
They were playing against Georgia. So I go down to Miami. I'm hanging out, and then I get a phone call, like, in the morning, like the place is on fire, like blowing, like burning up. And I just remember, like, I couldn't believe it. I was just in shock. And then as I pulled up, like I literally jumped on the flight the next morning. I pulled up to the place, and I'm just like, it was just burnt, like just completely, like, done. And I was just devastated, man, like, because all the work I put in, and like I said, everything that I've been through, like being a student of the game and like working for all these extraordinary, guys that kind of just, taught me so much. And then obviously once I started believing in myself, and then I went full throttle and got my own place. And then it just was, it was so devastating. Like, I still I still haven't like gotten like over it in a sense completely, but like, I just, cause I'm a hard worker, I just work. And like, I just keep moving forward. But yeah, I mean, it definitely hurt, man. Like, I didn't know how to bounce back and what to do. I was trying to save the company, and then through the network that I had, I raised enough money, got back into another building, but then like it just kind of like wasn't the same,
Right.
Like it just wasn't the same afterwards. And then I was just like, well, that's when I was like, let me just go full throttle with the coaching. So that's when that's when I got more involved with that. Got into the building over at Delbarton, where now I'm just doing gym and health, and and obviously helping a lot with the recruiting and just other things, basketball, so I'm doing a lot of work there. So I just transitioned within the building.
Yeah,
it's been a crazy transition, because like I said, like once being your own boss, doing your own thing, right, having your own schedule, to like now
you're working for people,
right. It's just it was a total, it was a change. But like, thank God for like football, and thank God for going to school and doing what I had to do to get me to where I am today, because it gave me the structure, it gave me the body work to do what I'm doing.
Well, I see, I obviously I see you working with the Delbarton athletes and doing training with those guys too, or different athletes as well. That facility, by the way, is unbelievable that they have.
It's pretty dope.
For high school.
Bro, it's unreal. It's unreal.
It's like being in Texas, you know what I mean? With that,
you got D3 school like recruiters coming up, and they're just like, this is like better than our facility. And I'm just like,
oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Like,
and for anybody that's listening, that's on it, like, to reference what it is, if you've ever been to like Kane University, kind of how they're like in their one end zone, or if you've been to Bryant University, right, where you literally have the facility in an end zone, and it's 3 stories, glass windows. Like it is tops of tops. Rest in peace to the late Jerry Gallagher, but he would brag about this to me all the time, man. Like, you got to see what we got going on, and just Delbarton's setting for the field itself, right? Because the home stands are kind of up on the hill, and it's you're looking down on the opponent. Like, it's an intimidating place to play.
And look, like the wind and it's like gusting through.
Oh yeah, it's still, yep. Just driving on campus, man. Like, you're going through statues, and like you're going up the hill, and you're seeing all these colonial like buildings. You feel like you're in one of these prep schools up in New England, right? Like where kids are still living there and on campus and whatnot. It's a really phenomenal facility, which can pull some people and parents and kids when they get on campus and they see all the things. Not to mention that Delbarton has one of the great alumni connections when it comes to the networking for everything. Once you graduate from that place, as a guy, as a Green Wave, like, you can call some of these high level people, and producing athletes across the board in multiple sports. Like, there's always someone going somewhere, or who's in the league, and all sports there are so good. We just watched a wrestling team upset the number 2 team in the country. Like, like
unreal. Yeah,
it's unreal. The atmosphere itself is always just, it's something that's so different, right? It's just something that's so different. So you're very fortunate to be in a great spot, and to have that network, man, and to pull some of those kids. There's no doubt.
It's a beautiful place, and like I said, I'm honored to be there, and I know Delbar's honor for me being there, and you know, I've just been doing great work, man. You know, just doing great work. You know, I'm very blessed. Like I said, you know, I became a father. You know, and so things have just changed, man. And you know, I'm
Yes,
just trying to
sir.
do, you know, just trying to do good things, do good work, and just elevate.
No doubt about it. Talk a little bit about like the FBU program that you run.
Right.
You know that what is it? 12U and 12U,
So
14
we
or
do, yeah. It's so we have a 10U, 12U, 14U.
okay.
Um, yeah, it's 10. I'm sorry, yes, 10, 12, 14U. Right.
Okay.
But so yeah, I've been running that. I mean, I took over directing in what about it's going on my fourth year.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been working under the FBU umbrella for quite a bit, like over 8 years now. When they started up here, when they were up in Dover, Steve Quinn and those guys.
Yep.
And then obviously they blew up and found the place down in Naples and then blew that thing up to
Yeah.
what it is now. So like I said, like I've been around those guys, and so
We've
I
had
was
Steve
working
on.
with, yeah, I worked with Steve I worked with Steve when they first built it up, and they were just renting out places to run their freshman All-American game. So I was on that staff with the first freshman All-American game down in Naples, and then I
We
just
didn't have Steve. We had the we had on uh
Oh, I'm screwing up. You're right. We did it. We had
from Georgia.
Right. But damn it.
Eric Richards.
Eric Richards. Eric
Yeah,
Richards. You're right.
yeah.
Sorry, my fault. My apologies. Yes, we do. Yes, and I'm
Yeah,
just
so
I always go over the moon with it because like
right.
my family has places down in Naples and I'm just like in awe of like I love it down there. It's
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
It's phenomenal.
I mean
So they
it's a
use like
great
that
little,
Paradise Cove and whatnot.
right.
Like what a great spot. Like
It's a great stop. It's a great stop, without a doubt. So yeah, I mean, like, you know, so I was working with those guys, and obviously, you know, after what COVID happened, you know, kind of the I guess, like, you know, Team New Jersey kind of fell off a little bit, and then, like, you know, Steve gave me the opportunity to take over the directing job, and then so now I took it over. You know, I've been there for 4 years. I'm just trying to bring the beat back. I remember starting with just only having like, you know, 14, 15 kids on the team to, now we're building up to where we got about 20, 25 kids, you know, on the team now, and we're doing pretty well. I mean, you know, so we're in the region, you know, FBU they do like regional camps. They also do the freshman All-American game. They do the 7th, 8th grade All-American game. They have 24/7 sports in their pocket, you know, their sponsorships as well. So they do a great deal of work as far as like getting kids exposure, you know, getting them ranked, you know, getting them recruited. So I started working with those guys because I kind of believed in it. I'm like, you know, how can I help, you know, guys out of New Jersey, or just, you know, kind of just keep the torch going and you know, helping guys, you know, fulfill their dreams of, you know, getting recruited or getting the exposure. So we started running the camps. We did the camps up at Delbarton when I got the job at Delbarton. We did the camps for 3 years, I want to say we did it there, and then that was a good pipeline for us to, you know, me and Bowers to get after, you know, some kids because we hosted the camp there at our school. And then, you know, they did so their camps are like, you know, they got the D-line specifics. They hire like a bunch of guys that played in the NFL, like ex-NFL players, and obviously they hire some guys to that, you know, some old coaches to that just coach or whatever. But they try and bring in guys that play in the NFL that had the, you know, that had the that has the resume to you know, train these kids, to coach these kids. So they bring in guys from all over. You know, I mean, it's like probably like 20 coaches that all played in the league, and it's kind of, you know, they run a really good thing. So me, I came in as, I think I did DB like the first few years, and obviously since I played a bunch of other positions, I help out with DB, wide receiver, or you know, a running back. So I did that for the past 8 years, just running the camps, and then became the director. Now I'm running the national team. So the national team, we play a regional game against like Team Connecticut, Team Massachusetts, Team Rhode Island, and obviously ourselves. We play in a regional game. It's like the first weekend of December, and then you play that game. It's like 2 games. You win those games, you go to the championship, you win the championship, and then you get invited down to Florida, and that's when you play on a national championship. So now you're playing against teams from all over, from like Texas, Florida, Cali, Midwest, Ohio, like, you know, a bunch of teams coming from all over. So it's just like a good, you know, good vibe, good place where, like, you know, good football is being played. You got like, the top of the top coming out. Like I said, like Jackson Vaughn got rated coming out of there doing the camp. He got the All-American sticker, the ticket. So, it was just good exposure, you know what I mean? And, those guys were kind of under my umbrella. They played on my 8th grade team. And then they started get involved with the FBU and the circuit, going to the camps where now they got ranked and so that's what I'm doing now over there.
Great stuff, man. You're covering a lot of bases. You're getting a lot of things done. Are you still doing any basketball stuff anymore or no?
So I just stepped down this year because it was like
okay.
I was burning out because like I went to the championship. I went to the championship the past 2 years. So I'm like, you know what? Like I gotta, and then I also just have my son. So I'm like, I need to do what's best. And I couldn't burn myself out. So I had to pull back from that. And I kind of miss it too because, like basketball was always my first love. But and then obviously going in there and just kind of like, taking those boys from Delbarton and we going down there and wrecking shop. It was kind of cool, like just driving those kids, and teaching them. And obviously, a lot of those kids got better where they're like, now they're doing great things at the next level on varsity and JV. So I did a great job coaching basketball. But yeah, I had to step down because obviously, my business and everything was taking off, and then obviously I had my son, so I had to do what's best.
Before we let you go, I got one more question for you. What do you athletes like? Because you've seen them from the time they're like middle school athletes all the way through to high school. What do you think it's important for athletes to do to continue to develop and get better through those years, really those middle school, high school years, and continuing to get to the next level? What are some important things that you think that they need to continue to work on?
So from like say like that middle school, like I would say like around 6th, 7th, 8th grade, that's when it really starts to kind of click. And then like that development stage is really just kind of like being a student of the game, like really just learning, you don't have to be in a rush. A lot of these people and parents, they're such in a rush for their kid to, blow up so fast. Like when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So my thing is like, you must prepare yourself for that moment. And when it happens, then you're ready and then you're not leaving it, So my thing is just basically just from that middle school era, it's just really learning, developing your mind, developing your skill set, right? Getting with, like I said, the right people doing your research that are going to help you, that are going to motivate you, that are going to push you to get to that level, right? And then from the high school level, it's just really like doing all the right things and the little things, being the first one in, the last one out, making sure you're getting the proper rest, making sure you're lifting, making sure you're eating because you're still developing, your body's still developing. So you got to make sure that you're doing all these right things, all these little things too. Like you can't just cut corners. You can't just think you're going to eat junk food and be an elite athlete. Like you really have to have some self-discipline and you have to really focus on like your craft. So my thing is like when you're in that high school level, you just got to really focus on how you eat, how you sleep, how you prepare, your preparation, how just how you get yourself prepared for games, working out, for what your body needs because you're developing. And obviously when you get to that senior year, if you have done all those little things, you've done all those things right, you should have gotten yourself to a point where you're going to go play college ball, even if it's D3, D2, D1, don't matter. Because college ball is college ball. I don't know anybody that's on D3 that wasn't all conference or all American. You can't tell me that player was garbage.
It's a phenomenal point. It's a great point.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. My thing is like whatever level you're going to go play on, make sure you go and you're prepared and you're ready for that. Because once you get into that league, it's that's a different league because now you got guys coming in trying to take your plate, eat off your plate. And, the survivor of the fittest, those coaches going out recruiting guys every year to try and take your spot. So, you have to make sure that you stay on top of your game even more. So those little things, those extra little things that you have to do, you have to make sure that, you're doing it exceptionally. You know what I mean? Like there's no shortcuts, there was no shortcuts for me. I was the first one in the gym, last one out. When I needed to do study hall and I needed to get the tutor and I stayed and I got it done. You know what I'm saying? When I had to lean on, people, I leaned on people to help me get to where I need to get to. It's about the networking, right? Being a good person, having a good soul, having a good heart, and just having the faith. You know what I mean? You have those things, man. Ain't nobody stopping you.
no doubt about it. It's great stuff. I'm glad we got a UMass grad on here.
Go
So
you.
I love it. Yeah. Look at it.
Go
Yeah,
you.
I love it.
it's good. It's good to have
It's funny, Dave, right? Because as like for
well, that
myself
was like our
personally, as
big
that
rivalry when I played, because UConn. By the time you got to UMass, UConn was probably already Division 1.
yeah, because they had
Yeah,
transitioned
yeah.
my
Yeah.
But I
freshman
played in
year of
that
college.
conference you played in. UConn
Oh.
was FCS when I was there. My senior year, that those freshmen were the first group that ended up being FBS. But yeah, that was one of our big rivals.
I remember those stories, like even in the basketball too, like just the rivalry.
Yeah,
of
hoops was big.
you
Yeah,
know,
hell yeah.
It was
and Dave,
for me,
for me personally, like my like I was an F, like I destined to get, like my dream was to play FCS, you know what I mean, which is like why I ended up at Sacred Heart. But like UMass was always like, hey, that's maybe one of those ones like I could reach for, or I might be able to get that, you know what I mean, because they were along the lines of like a Hofstra or a URI, right? Like, and for me, as what I was as a player in high school, coming from Butler High School, you know what I mean, and doing what I like, it was always, oh man, if like if I could get there, like that would be, oh man, like, you know what I mean, like, and obviously it didn't work, but always just like loved that aspect of like where they were as that higher level FCS, like that was just, and there was an appeal for obviously like New England. Like Dave and I talk about that all the time of how like New England's just different in the fall, of just all that cheesy like, hey, foliage, it's beautiful, the history aspect of like being in that area, like all that.
The winter in UMass must be cold.
I'm telling you, man, it'll test you. It'll test you. It'll test you.
Yeah.
But nah, man, like I said, it was a great rival. Like I heard nothing but great stories about that drive from up 91 to down to Hartford, So I've always heard about it, and I've always wanted to play in Connecticut. And it's crazy that they lined them back up when I left. So it was like, oh man, But we used to always go to the basketball games. I think we popped you guys. And you guys were like, you guys had had like Okafor and all those guys. Y'all had a team. I think I had Gordon too.
Ben Gordon.
Yeah, with Ben Gordon, we beat you guys. Like we were trash, but like we beat you. That was like,
well, I'll tell you what. Obviously, like John Calipari took UMass to different levels, right? And then when he kind of bounced, it was like, all right, well, what's the appeal? And you get it though, right? Like, because you look at it, even football-wise. Right?
They
like
built
Whipple makes the jump to the NFL.
They built everything. The new Mullins Center, all the athletic center. It was unreal. So it was like walking up to that, like I was going to say from high school coming. I'm like, oh, they really about to go D1, and they were selling. They were selling it hard to us.
Like, for you, right, RJ? Because you said you were a hooper, right? Like you said you were a hooper as well. So you kind of had that appeal of like, hey, if I go to UMass, like I'm still going to get to be around higher level basketball,
Right. And I tried out for the team and I made it. But I got a phone call from Whip because he was
he's like, buddy.
They had big plans, so they're like, he's like, yo, who pays your tuition here?
Yeah,
we do. I'm like, oh, all right. I guess I can't play basketball.
You're like, okay. So, you're like, we're good. We're good.
Right. I was like, I don't want no problems. Like, I wanted to be on the. I guess I was trying to do the little things right. So
that was one of those. Hey, that was one of those. Like, hey, your guy.
I kind of snuck out.
Tried out for our team.
Yeah. I snuck out, went to go do it, and they got the call like, yo, Cobbs, we want him. Like, and then they're like, no,
like, oh, hell no.
You know what they did at UConn? When a player was done with his career, if he was like legit, we had a couple guys that played on our football team that were like were really, really good hoopers, and they would go play. They would play, they were playing mop-up time, but if they could make the team, they let them go and play that last semester. So we had like 3 or 4 guys that went and played. It's funny how the whole like nowadays where like guys like go and play like you'll see like a basketball. I think it was a guy who was at Duke, went and played football 1 year at Syracuse or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Oh yeah. Greg Paulus, the quarterback.
Oh
so
yeah.
we had 1 year. I don't remember which year it was when I was there, but I feel like it was my junior year. But Brian Fair, who was like a star basketball player for UConn, was done with his eligibility, and he came out because he played with like Donyell Marshall and Donnie Marshall, all those guys, and then he came out for football in spring ball, and he was going to go and maybe do a grad transfer, like not grad, a grad season with us in football. But he played in spring ball, and I would see him because I was running all those showcases, and I would see him when we go out to Arizona. I would talk to him, but I always forgot to ask him. I was like, "How come you never came back?" But I guess he just decided that was it. Like,
Right.
So he played football in the spring, and maybe he went and played in Europe. You know, I mean, maybe he didn't have, like, maybe he ended up signing a contract in Europe or something.
Right.
That's probably what happened. But he was gonna play football. He played football spring ball, and then he was a sick athlete, though. I'll tell you this. Like, he was.
Wow.
He was sick, but he just like
there's a lot of like football players that could have played basketball for sure, without a doubt.
Buddy, I'll tell you, when I was at Sacred Heart, my freshman year there, the year that I was there, we had a guy that was from the state of Washington. He played wideout for us, but he was there on a D1 basketball scholarship because Sacred Heart was Division I NEC, right? And he was there, like but it was like he did both. And I'm like, buddy, like,
Wow.
obviously that's why you're here from Washington, because this is one of the only schools that probably would allow him to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'll never forget it. They're like, oh yeah, that's, Joey plays both. I'm like, wait, what? He does what? Like, I'm just struggling here to like get on kickoff, and this dude's playing both. Like, okay.
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah, different world. And we talk about the
It
multi-sport athlete all the time, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, to push guys to do more. And
I think it's big.
Did they work coincide for you, those two, like, playing football and playing basketball? Do you think that both, as you were going through high school and stuff, really helped you to become the athlete that you were?
Without a doubt. I mean, because like at that time, I was playing basketball at a high level, but I was around like substantial, people. Like I was around Al Harrington. I played on the AAU team with him. Dante
I was going to
Jones.
ask you about the AAU stuff. Like, I'm sure you did that.
But like that was like an elite. Like, you had to go. It was the only team in New Jersey that, like, that was like besides Tim Thomas players and those guys. But like they were like, that's when, like, but it was that team. The Roadrunners was like an elite. And
Roadrunners were great. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, unreal program. And like I said, like that was my freshman year. And then, like I said, after my freshman, that's when it clicked. So like I played that AAU year, that spring year, that year going to my freshman year. Then I was like, man, I was light, so I started working out. I didn't do as much. I only did like springtime AAU, and then like when the summer came, I didn't do the summer circuit because I wanted to like showcase my skills in football that year. And that was my sophomore year. It was like my come out party, and then I blew up. And so when I blew up in football, I started getting more bigger letters in football than I was getting in basketball. So it was more enticing, to like push more towards the football than it was during the basketball.
Right.
But like, yeah, it definitely helped me because it was like, all right, I had options. It was like, all right, well, football showcase didn't work out or something happened. I could have leaned back and maybe got, swung basketball. But, I think like just playing two sports and being a lead at it and obviously training and doing those things to be good at it. It helped me on football, just as well as football, helped me for basketball, So
no doubt. All right, Derek.
It gave me the toughness,
Derek, I'm asking you a quick quiz question. See if you know the answer to this. All right. I know RJ does because he just mentioned him. So do you know what college Al Harrington played basketball at?
If we talking Al Harrington, who played for like the Indiana Pacers?
Yeah.
Is that him? That's what we're talking about the same one.
What college did he play at?
I do not. I don't know what college.
Georgetown.
Tim Thomas played for Villanova.
Georgetown. Right? He was Georgetown guy.
That's post Allen Iverson?
He's post Morning in them. He's like That was they were still great. They weren't quite as good as they were, but that was
Who's that?
right after Iverson, I think. Right?
That's what
Was
I was
Al
gonna say,
Harrington,
like,
right?
after.
But no, Al Harrington went
Oh,
to
was
the
he
league.
with Iverson?
He went to the league.
No, I'm saying
he
didn't
didn't
go
play
to
college.
I thought he played
No.
at Georgetown. Al Harrington.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir. We both wrong. Nah, he went straight. I'll tell you quick, which is crazy.
That's
So I'm sitting
interesting.
there,
I thought he
I'm a
played at
freshman.
Georgetown.
Nah, I'm a freshman, right? I make the team, right? Their national team of pro runners, and I'm
Because he
sitting there
played
on the
for St.
bench.
Patrick's, right? He
Yeah,
played for
St.
St.
Patrick's.
25th overall pick in
Yeah.
the 1998 and
That's
NBA
amazing.
draft.
I wish
Yeah.
I knew that. Yeah. That's why I thought maybe
I'm telling
Eric
you.
might know. I didn't know.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, yo, what college you gonna go to? Because he was the number one player coming out of high school.
McDonald's
So I'm
All
sitting there.
American.
I'm like, yo, what high school? I mean, what college you gonna go to? He looked at me like, I'm going to the league. I'm like,
Damn.
okay.
At 18 years of age, selected by the Indiana Pacers, 25th overall pick, 98
blew
NBA
my
draft,
mind.
man.
Right, blew my mind.
Well-
And he was in the league for over 12 years. I want to say.
Oh man! Oh yeah. What did he? 16 seasons in the
16,
NBA,
yeah.
and then
Forever,
he,
yeah.
and he also
Forever,
went over
right.
and he played in China. So he
Right.
soaked it all up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
But
and I
I
think
also
he does. Yeah, he has a nice little company
That-
that he's doing now
that
too.
was
but
but remember that there was that era of where everybody went to the league for like a lot of guys
Yeah,
in
that's
high
what
school
I'm saying.
jumped into the.
Right. But
I
I think he
remember-
was the last. Or yeah, I think he was.
He was the
last.
LeBron was the last.
We
player.
did,
He was
yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah,
we
last.
yeah.
did we always did a basketball camp in West Milford, right?
Mhm.
And Tim Thomas came to visit, right? It's when he was at Patterson Catholic, and it was
Right.
like he was the first superstar
Oh, yeah.
individual I had ever been like within arm's distance of, right? And I
Right.
just remember him playing like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Villanova," and he was only there
Yeah.
one and done, right?
Right,
Like that
yep,
was,
exactly.
you know,
He was rookie of the year.
and
Right.
I can remember them having like these conversations, like, you know, as a young kid hearing the side conversation of like, "Hey, you going to go to college or are you going to the league?" You know what I mean?
That's
And
what I'm saying.
it was like a him. And I'm like, wait a
Unbelievable.
minute, as in like the NBA with like Michael Jordan, like
That's what
this
I
guy
was
could
saying.
like this guy's like in high school,
And
but
that
he's
was
going
when
to, like,
that
it
was
was
like
like,
when
wait, you
St.
going to the
Patrick's
league?
was like that was
yeah,
when they were
St.
kind of
Patrick's was
giving a
pumping.
run
And
with
St.
with,
Anthony's.
St. Anthony's. Yep.
Yep.
That was when, and then St. Benedict's then became good for a while, but I don't. That was maybe when
Well,
Hurley
started.
when Hurley was there
Hurley
in
started in that world.
ends maybe or something.
And that was
Yeah,
like,
no,
you
maybe
know,
before
like,
that.
and then transition into like, then I played AAU in like middle school, high school. Like, again, same thing, RJ, like that, the being around higher level players. And it was funny because
Right.
our starting 5 AAU basketball team, not one of us went to college to play basketball. Like
Wow.
2 for lacrosse, the other 3 of us
Wow.
played football.
But yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but we were
Well,
just
look at the
so
thing that they said.
like-minded.
Right. But look at the thing the story was today that Drake May and who's the other quarterback in the
Mendoza.
Who's the
No,
quarterback that's in the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl?
Who is Drake May? Who's the
Darnold?
other quarterback?
Oh, Darnold, Sam
yeah.
Darnold.
Yeah, they just pulled up two links of like those guys playing like high school basketball, and they were like nasty.
Yeah, I knew
Drake
Drake May
May was
was Sam Darnold was good. Drake May was
You know what I mean?
nasty.
So I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
and look,
you can't
I've
tell me
told
like
Dave
an
this
elite guy
1,000
didn't play
times.
2 sports, you know?
Absolutely.
well, and look, and that's like when I was like, I've told Coach Shu this. He knows this. A lot of people, like, we try to tell our parents this. Like, there's not one college coach that walks into the building to recruit a guy that doesn't ask what other sport does he play, right? And where is
Right.
that? So
Right.
it's just, if we like the specialization, like that's a whole nother podcast of like, you know,
Right,
pigeonholing yourself into it at such a young age, man. Like go play another sport, go enjoy being a competitor, go enjoy maybe not being the best player on the field or the court and learning how to be a role guy. Cause look, that red shirt freshman year in college is real tough when you've never not been the guy. You know,
Right.
so to learn some of that stuff, not only, you know, not to
And just
mention
being
the
humble too,
development
like
with
you
the
gotta
other
be
muscles.
right. You gotta be humble, man. Like That's the thing of the game. Like, you know, you got to know when your blessings are going to be presented, but you also got to be humble enough to like sit back and like really like just see how things are going to unfold. You know, and that's why I always tell kids, like, you can't rush greatness. Greatness is just going to be great. Like that's just how it's just, you know, it's destined. Like, if you're going to be great, it's going to happen, but you can't be rushing it. You know.
No doubt about it. Very well
Awesome,
said.
man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, going and compete and being obviously a great football player and a great basketball player beyond what it does for you athletically. I mean, you were playing for a high level, really high level AAU team. Like you're competing with all Division I athletes. So you know when you're competing like that, you know, okay, hey, I could hang with these dudes. Like
Exactly.
I'm a Division I athlete. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right. So like I said,
yeah,
like,
because not everybody's going to
that,
be like you, RJ, where you have literally a teammate in high school that's on the same level. Like that's rare, right? Because you just so to surround yourself with like-minded guys, and then on that athletic, you know, standard as well. Like that's really what pushes you, right? And then obviously all your other teammates do it. It's why a school like Delbarton is that, because here's the standard, here's the guys you're around, and you know what? Like if you're not doing, like you talked about, those little things of, you know, working out, the nutrition, the sleep, all the other little, like that's what separates what's happening now in splitting hairs in the recruiting world of a guy that's going to be an FBS guy or an FCS guy. Like those kids just have it, they get it, they understand it. Like, and the rest of you need to figure that thing out real quick. But also at the same time, like you can't rush it, like you said. Like it has to be a process of building and growing, and that's kind of where it's at. So, dude, I appreciate your time, man. It's
thanks, man.
I'm glad we finally got you on, buddy.
Yeah, me too, man. Thanks, man. Anytime.
Great meeting you. Great seeing you.
Yeah, we're connected.
All right, man. Continue to do great things, buddy.
Great talking to you.
Bye. Later, guys.
See you, man.
Excellent stuff. Real good.
Imagine trying to defend those two in high school.
Yeah, probably pretty difficult.
him, right? Oh my God.
Yeah. There's no doubt. Would be real difficult. The Morant went to what? BC, Bergen Catholic?
No, Johnny Morant. He went.
The son though. The son played.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about the son. He went to
Michigan, I think, too.
The son.
Let me see if I'm right. I can't remember.
I think. Well, the dad went
Morant.
The dad went to Syracuse, right?
Yeah, he went to Michigan because I think he went to our events. The son went to our events when he was in. Yeah, Jordan Morant. Yep. Went to Bergen Catholic. Johnny Morant played. Where did he play at?
Syracuse, right?
Is that where he played at?
Yeah, because he's my year. Like he's around my era.
Syracuse, you're right.
Because I want to say he was like Morris County Player of the Year when I was like, I want to say either a sophomore or a junior. And I'm like, shit, buddy, I ain't gonna ever be as fast as this fucking guy. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Like, not happening, like, you know. But I'll tell you what, Parsippany Hills, man, they were always like those guys, like RJ and Morant, like they kicked off an era of like 2000s through like with Coach Albano. Like, dude, they had teams, they won so much stuff. Like, it was always compete high level for Morris County. You know what I'm saying? Like, and whatever they did, it was a lot. Like, they were always putting out a dude or had a quarterback that could sling it or do that kind of stuff. I didn't know his facility burnt down. That's brutal.
I read that.
Imagine putting all that into it, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I know you're enjoying Miami, but like your facility's burning to the ground right now.
It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, to be honest. You know, yeah, there's no words for that.
Do you think the FBU stuff takes it? Like, do you think that because of like all these all-star teams that come from these guys' fall teams? You know what I mean? Like, do you think that kind of makes the FBU football teams a tougher market to kind of get that? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You mean to get the players to play?
Right. Or do you think, like, obviously the growing flag world and 7-on-7 world?
I've
like,
always wondered. I guess I didn't ask enough questions on that part of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's really where the focus we were trying to go.
Yeah,
with it either, but
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know where.
Because those teams happen
There
when
are
in the fall
some good
or
athletes,
in the
but it's
spring.
expensive. The best way I can put it is it's expensive to play. So,
and when do they play?
I was kind of perusing his Instagram while we were on, just to get a feel for what it was, because but like being down when I was in North Jersey, I would hear about it more than I do hear about it down here, because
I agree.
AYF
I agree.
So
I think it's more of a North Jersey
they have
thing.
Their own
AYF is
all-star.
huge. That's what I mean.
Right.
Like, that's what I guess that's why I asked that, right? Was rather like, so if you have, like, here's I guess how you would put it, right? Like, if you have the option to go play on the 14U FBU team, or you're playing on your AYF All-Star team, like, which way do you go? Probably AYF All-Star, because the familiarity with those guys.
The Shore kids definitely play in the AYF.
100%.
Yeah, they definitely do.
I think because up north there's not that AYF affiliate. Like, those guys, most of those teams aren't AYF affiliation. You know what I'm saying? I think, okay, well, they see, like, well, we don't have an all-star team. I'll go play FBU. That's really the only option, I guess.
I think it works good for Delbarton in a sense, with RJ doing that, because the kind of kid that's going to pay to go to that.
Yeah, like, I think Cole did that.
Probably going to be a better candidate for Delbarton. So it kind of all works. It's in sync from that standpoint. It's funny because like I was saying, I was kind of going on because I really don't know. I know about it, like I know about FBU obviously, but I don't know enough about the
Well, they do girls flag.
Though they've added everything now, so they've added
7 tournaments. I see 7-on-7 tournaments on the website.
They added everything is because the other stuff probably. Let's look at the Dave Schumann Genesis, right? I was running bazillion camps. That world changed. FBU kept doubling down. They're still successful in the camp world, but that world changed as well for them. Probably not getting as many people. Maybe the national one, the last one they do, but all the regional ones are probably not getting as many.
7-on-7 tournaments.
Oh, they're running flag tournament. They're going after the whole shebang.
But like, there's nothing that's like the 7-on-7 tournaments. It's Orlando, Dallas, Charlotte, Nashville, Vegas, Indianapolis, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Tampa. Like, and it's 10U, 12U, 14U.
Yeah, they're in the kid realm on
only
that.
4 teams per age group.
Only 4 teams per age group. Huh? Yeah, so they're dipping their toe, is my guess. So, but it's a
girls flag. Interesting.
Girls flag. Everybody's gonna do girls flag. So what people don't realize about flag is that even though flag is blowing up as far as media wise, there are a lot of girls throughout the South and the West playing flag already.
100%. Absolutely.
It's newer here, and it might be newer maybe in the Midwest and stuff like that. But if you go throughout the South and all the way west, all the way through Texas, all the way through, it's been going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's clubs, and it's just there's going to be more media attention brought to it, which will grow maybe rec participation. I would say more. Like, I don't know, is like eventually get better and better players in there because of that. So it'll start to grow rec participation, I think. But from what I've seen with just our own stuff, like it's not a slam dunk to transition into club from rec in flag, because kids that do flag serious, it's like it's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like who did flag this? Was it Boreski that did flag this year instead of doing 7-on-7? I can't remember who it was, but I remember seeing somebody doing flag this year. The way I look at it is like it all helps in tackles. It all helps. But as far as what I feel like pretty quickly, like I mastered flag pretty quickly. I thought it was the easiest to master, because the art of deception, okay, is really, really valuable in flag. And because the art of deception is very valuable, base plays off of it become very valuable. So like it's like deception, base play, deception, base play. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of a game, like where you're already doing it with girls. You see in it, and your rules are a little limiting in some of the stuff, so you can't maybe do so. But as you'll see, like I thought, like very quickly, and look, you're playing. You were telling me how you play your coverages. Like once you could do stuff like that, Derek, like 90% of teams will not be able to handle it, because it's not like football coaches. People can say whatever they want. Tackle football coaches are the most polished football coaches there are. When you go tackle to anything else, it's easy. There's no other way for me to put it. Like 7-on-7 to me is a joke easy. Okay, it's like there's concepts in it that quarterbacks have to learn, receivers have to learn, DBs they need to understand at coverage wise. But as far as conceptually, it's. I mean, I don't know if you agree, but I really like. It's like figuring out where the athletes are, figuring out are you going to get space or not, and figuring out how to rub people off. Like that's what 7-on-7 is. And then does it, from a tackle standpoint, does it fit within your program, those plays? Because you should try to run plays that you run within your program that might fit.
Right.
But flag to me, that like it's a different game too. But like when you put linemen into when the more people there are on the field, the harder the game is.
No doubt.
It's that simple.
Comes down to a spacing aspect thing, man.
Right. Like
there's only so much room on the field.
Why does regular rugby, not score as much? There's 15 players on the field at the same time.
Correct.
And there's very limiting rules within rugby that make it very difficult to score.
Well, I think that aspect adds to it too, right? Which is, the rule aspect, right? Like, which is obviously something in our girls' flag world that we're trying to perfect moving into when it will be an official sport is, the North and the South are going to align more on the rules, right? In terms of, just that aspect of it, so that now next year when it becomes quote real, we're all on the same page. And we've been, it just makes it easier for everybody. All the coaches understand it. All the referees understand it. Like that's a big aspect too, where, you're doing certain things or putting certain parameters on things that limits what you can do and how you kind of teach it. And then obviously that in itself goes into this schematic type of thing as well, right? Like if I'm allowed to do this, then I can do this offensively, or if I can do this defensively, like I'm going to play it like this, right? Like, so that stuff adds to it that I think it's important. But that could change it. Like that changes it for how it is,
100%. And the kind of way I look at like the base skill sets within the world of football I would put like
Mhm.
the base level, like rugby space skill sets are right at the bottom, and you need to have very raw basic skill sets to be really good at rugby. Okay. And athleticism is at a premium on the wide part of the game. In the middle is power and explosiveness is a big part of it, right? And then you have the guy who's
No
like
doubt.
the command person who really he's kind of in the middle, but like leads the whole
Mhm.
group. And then you get the football, which is really the most expansive skill set wise. Like
Right.
it gets a little wider skill set wise. Um, the fundamentals, I would say probably like they're more specialized than rugby
Right.
is. Rugby's very base, like tackling, their version of blocking, right? Uh and then physicality, like those skills are really base level skills, which is
Mhm.
why when people are like, well, why, at first I was a resistant guy to like rugby stuff, tackling stuff. And I was like, but then when it was explained to me, it's like, who has to tackle the most in the game?
Mhm.
Actually, rugby does. Rugby tackles the most. The whole game is tackling. That's all the
Mhm.
game is. It's passing laterally and tackling and backwards and laterally. And so if you don't tackle well, you're really at a major, you're not winning any games in rugby, right? Like
Zero.
football, because you got cornerbacks and you got your pass rushing skill set. You obviously tackling is really important, but there's other skills that have some important levels to it. And then as you move up to I don't know where flag or 7-7 will be, but they're above there, where obviously you've taken tackling out of the game. And for the most part, you've taken blocking out of the game, right?
Mhm.
When you take those two elements out of the game, it's purely a skill-based game and athletic skill-based. And when it's athletic skill-based, to me, schematically, and the skill set wise, it's a lot easier to coach.
No
Like
doubt.
to me, like now there might be a wider range of plays you can use. That might be
Right.
true.
And
There
that
might
throws it off a little bit.
It throws it off because you could scheme a lot. But as far as the elements to the game, like if you could actually make your team and flag play great defense, it
Oh.
is yeah, they've got to figure out how to get one-on-one matchups. That's the only way they can succeed.
Mhm.
Because if you play great defense, you're pulling flags or they're not getting. I 7-on-7 is slightly different in that playing great defense does not necessarily give you the ability to win, because one-on-one matchups become a big deal.
Correct.
And even more so. So if I were to go up like the scale of it, 7-7 might be at the top from a like pure skill standpoint, because you're taking out all kinds of elements that are that are involved in the other games. Like flag is a little more diversified. I think they're all different sports than tackle, to be honest. So like rugby's a different sport than tackle. Tackle is obviously different from 7-on-7 flag. But I look at all of them in the same tree, like in the same ecosystem, maybe not tree, but ecosystem. And they like this is gonna sound crazy, but like if you were to go even to even more of a base, the parts of it, like pure base parts of it, you would almost go to say like two other subcomponents of rugby below rugby would be weightlifting, like, and
Mhm.
sprinting would probably be right below it, right? And then maybe movement. Those three would be like the basis below it. That's where you're not even doing any like physical contact. But that's kind of the tree of like how football, or the pyramid of kind of like football. And I actually like, to me, like I was kind of like, I wouldn't mind having, you know how we do 7-on-7, we do flag. I
Mhm.
almost wouldn't mind having a rugby club. I almost think that would be fun. I read the whole rules on it. I don't know what participation levels we would have in it.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
just don't think it would. The participation, I don't think would be the same because there's nowhere to go from it. You know, like
CBA has rugby. It's very big there, but
Yeah,
it's more like I would think those kids
and
come
that's a
out.
different clientele that's going to go to CBA. Like that's not the majority of anybody. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think it's a mass scale. I don't think it's a mass scale thing by any stretch of the imagination.
I wish more places had it.
What's that?
I wish more places had it.
No, but I think it's all like the more I watch it, like I get a lot of like sevens would be exciting to people. Rugby sevens where there's only 7 players on the field. I think you would get maybe more participation there.
Yeah, it's more spread out, not as much contact because it's more spread out. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing would go into it. You know?
Yeah,
I think
15 on
parents
15
and stuff still would be a little. You know what I mean? I think just the contact.
I don't think you get 15 on 15. I don't think you get much participation in 15 on 15.
No.
Just, you know,
I just think the rugby too, like the physicality of it, I think.
I think if it was if I had the opportunity to play it, I probably would have. Because
what season do they play it?
I want to say spring. It's a spring kind of deal. And no football players probably would play it because you could get hurt. So, you know what I'm saying? But I in my mind, like I'm like, oh, like that's one of the other. Awesome. Yeah, like that would be an awesome sport. I just don't know if there's a market for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it would that would really like if you were gonna do a rugby, like they have a rugby club in Red Bank. It's right on the water there, and it's literally the Red Bank rugby. I think I don't know what they call it, but the football club or something. But it's a rugby club, and
there's a big cricket culture around here.
Probably, maybe is it because of England and Indians both probably.
Indian.
I would say
Indian.
I
mean, hell, they use Sportica at night and dial it up. Like,
dude, yeah. I saw
because a lot of their business is overseas, so their clocks are different in terms of when they're working, when they're not. Like their clientele, like so they're midnight to 11 p.m. and but like they're in there rocking and rolling because they're like they're just getting done with work at that time. For them, it's like 7 o'clock for like dinner time.
Because they're working with offshore people.
Because they're working with like people that are like
tech guys
or whatever. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? So I remember talking to the guy he's like, dude, this is because I'm like, this is wild. Like, what, like,
oh, is that when we came in?
Remember we had that 7-on-7 there, and they were like, I'm like, wait, we're waiting for these guys to finish up. He's like, oh yeah, dude, we're not bumping this. Like, this is a staple. Like, this is, and there was tunes all over. I'm like, holy shit, okay. Like, it's cool. It's funny. It's like different sports. It's wild.
Oh yeah. As a sports, as someone who loves sports, playing sports, like there's so many sports that I would have loved to learn and play. That just to play it, just to actually play it, and see what it's like. I mean, that's just I don't know if many people are like how we were. Like we were like I don't care what it was. Like I loved handball. Handball
was phenomenal. I always wanted to do lacrosse, dude. Like forever.
Lacrosse would be. I mean, I listen. It took me forever to convince my son to just try it. Like I was like, dude, I'm telling you, you'll play it, and you know what? You'll be out there running around. You can, it'll be fun. It's funny because like I get a conversation. He goes, I just don't want to wear equipment. Right. And I said, wait a minute.
You're like the sport you love the most, you wear the most, buddy. Like,
yeah, but he doesn't view it that way. I don't know why. Like,
he's just kind of used to it, I guess.
I guess he's used to it. I guess he just sees it and just goes, yeah, that makes sense to in his mind. But yeah, like It's the reason why he likes basketball. Like he doesn't have to put equipment
shorts
on.
and a t-shirt, bro.
And he likes and he likes baseball for that reason. Like it's just a glove.
Same
like,
thing. It's just a glove.
Just a glove. Like he's like, I gotta remember a stick. I gotta remember my helmet. I gotta remember my shoulder pads. I'm like, it's awesome.
You're like,
dude.
buddy, it all goes on what? Like you literally get to hold it all on one thing. Like you literally have to hold the stick with all of your equipment on it. Like football, dude, we're walking with this or that. We got this bag. We got that. Like it's like, it's funny.
But
how kids look at
he's
things.
doing it. He's doing it every like until obviously eventually when you go to high school and you can't do it. But I have him in that CBA summer league.
Yeah,
and
which is a good one for him.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I from an athlete standpoint, I love it because people are fucking people up. Like I think it's great. Like dudes are getting. The first time Nicole was there, she comes over and she goes,
She's like, "Whoa!"
She's like, "You didn't tell me that it was like
physical."
More physical than football." I'm like, it's not more physical than football. It looks like it is.
It looks worse because the hits are more.
They get hit and they're like lifted up in the air.
Yeah, and you're using a stick, like,
and you're using a stick. But she's like, she walks over to me. She's like, you didn't tell me.
I'm like, hey, buddy.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh yeah. You're like, but go watch Girls, and it's
Girls is
not
different.
supposed to be that way, but it ends up being that way.
It's a little chippy, but they don't hit like
they're not lighting you up coming down the lane or like in front of the crease or any of that kind of shit. Like, no, not happening, dude.
No, it was great when like we were standing there on the back end of it there, and one of the kids he goes to school with, like that's like his sport. And he's a really good athlete, a smaller guy. And a kid from the other team comes in the area and he just lights him up. And the kid's like feet were off the ground, you know. And but Nicole's standing right there. And I saw her face and she looked over at me. And I was like, great job, Luke. I'm like, great job, Luke. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so. But once Troy realized you could do that,
then he was all in.
Oh, it was great. It was so fun. And he gets in the penalty box, and the guy who put him in the penalty box is one of the guys who does like a lot of our flag leagues, like his kids do. And his daughter's in our class. And he comes over to me. I didn't realize he was the official, was the referee. And he comes over because he played lacrosse, I think, at Rutgers. And he comes over to me and he goes, did you see how to put Troy in the penalty box? He was like whacking someone with a stick. I'm like, nah. I said, I didn't realize you were a referee. He's like, I love it. He's like, I love this stuff. He's like, I coached it up until like 2 years ago, but just with kids, I can't coach it anymore. But I was like, wow. Yeah. I mean, I just love all those, I just love when I go into Wombo's facility the few times I've been there, and I literally watch the hockey players play. Like, I love watching it. Like, I just love watching them skate and I don't know, just different games are interesting to me. Like the rules and what you can do, what you can't do,
all that stuff.
There's only a few that I really just dislike, which I won't say on this podcast, just in case people get alienated by it.
We don't want to do that.
No, but some of them I've actually coached. I've coached it when I was younger, but I just don't like it. I just cannot mentally get myself there on some sports. But the world loves it, so that's the
we'll take it.
No doubt about it. But anyway, are we back tomorrow?
Man. Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow, 10 a.m. with Dustin Martin, who is he's an athletic director. He's a high school football coach. He has a podcast, the At Coach Speak Pod, and he's also the creator of Vital Tackling and from Rock Hill, South Carolina. So he'll be on tomorrow to talk all those worlds and whichever way we want to take it. So I look forward to talking with him because he's he wears a lot of different hats down in South Carolina. So.
Fantastic. All right. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Mañana.